The Kenai Peninsula, a land of stark contrasts and haunting beauty. A finger of land reaching south from Alaska's vast interior, it stretches out into the cold embrace of the sea. It slices through the icy waters of the Gulf of Alaska, a rugged and untamed wilderness. Here, amidst breathtaking beauty, lies a place shrouded in darkness. This is Portlock, Alaska, a ghost town, abandoned and forgotten, a place abandoned to time and terror. Nature has reclaimed what was once a thriving community. The story of Portlock is a tale of two eras. It began with hope, with settlers dreaming of prosperity. It ended with fear as mysterious events drove them away. The transition is what makes Portlock so fascinating, so unsettling, so very human. From bustling streets to silent ruins, the change is stark and eerie. We are drawn to stories of collapse. They remind us of the fragility of our own creations. Maybe it's a fear of our own mortality. Maybe it's something else, a deeper, more primal fear of the unknown. The Kenai Peninsula is a place of extremes, a land where nature's power is on full display. Summers are short and intense. The land bursts into life, a brief but vibrant explosion of color and activity. Winters are long and unforgiving. The landscape is transformed into a frozen, inhospitable wilderness. The landscape is a study in contrasts. From lush forests to barren tundra, from serene lakes to roaring rivers, towering mountains give way to dense forests. Each step reveals a new facet of this wild land. Glaciers carve their way through the wilderness, shaping the land over millennia. Rivers teem with salmon, a testament to the cycle of life. The ocean roars, a constant reminder of nature's immense power. It is a place of raw, untamed energy, a place where humans feel very small. In the face of such grandeur, we are reminded of our place in the world. The Kenai Peninsula, with its ghostly past and powerful present, is a land that humbles and inspires. In 1786, Captain Nathaniel Portlock, an English explorer, sailed into the sound that would bear his name. He was a man of ambition and vision, driven by the promise of discovery and the allure of the unknown. He was searching for furs, the soft pelts that were highly prized in Europe. The fur trade was booming, and Portlock saw an opportunity to make his mark, for wealth, for glory, and for the thrill of adventure. He found all three in abundance. The riches of the land were beyond his wildest dreams, and the glory of his discoveries would be remembered for generations. At least for a time. The sea is a fickle mistress, and fortunes can change with the tides. But in those early days, the promise of prosperity seemed endless. Portlock established a trading post, a foothold in this new and wild land. It was a place where dreams could be realized and fortunes could be made. It was a simple affair, just a few wooden buildings hastily constructed. But it was enough to serve its purpose. A place to store furs, the lifeblood of the trade. The pelts were carefully sorted and stored, ready to be shipped back to eager buyers in Europe. A place to trade with the native Sugpiaq people who had lived on the Kenai Peninsula for centuries. They were skilled traders and knew the land intimately. The Sugpiaq had lived on the Kenai Peninsula for centuries. They knew its secrets, its dangers, and its bounty. The trading post thrived, and word of its success spread quickly. More ships arrived, drawn by the promise of wealth. More furs were traded, and the Sound became a bustling hub of activity. The Sound became a hub of activity, a place where the old world met the new. Ships from distant lands anchored in its waters, their holds filled with goods to trade. A small village grew around the trading post, a community of settlers and traders who saw opportunity in this rugged land. It was a rough and tumble place where the rules were few and the risks were great, but for those who were willing to take a chance, the rewards could be immense. Full of sailors, traders, and adventurers, the village was a melting pot of cultures and ambitions. Each person had their own story, their own dreams, and their own reasons for being there. Together, they created a vibrant and dynamic community, one that would leave a lasting legacy on the land. By the late 19th century, the fur trade had faded. The once thriving industry that had driven the economy for decades was now a shadow of its former self. The pelts that had been so highly sought after were no longer in demand, and the traders who had once roamed the wilderness were now looking for new opportunities. A new industry emerged: fishing. The vast, untapped waters offered a bounty that was waiting to be harvested. Fishermen began to cast their nets, and the promise of prosperity drew many to the shores. The waters around Portlock teemed with salmon. Canneries were built, jobs were plentiful. The village prospered, people flocked to Portlock. The sound of hammers and saws filled the air as new buildings sprang up to accommodate the growing population. They came from all over, seeking their fortune, building a life. The village grew. Houses were built, a schoolhouse, a general store, a post office. The infrastructure of a thriving community began to take shape, and the once small village was now bustling with activity. Portlock was becoming a real town, a thriving community. The streets were filled with the sounds of children playing, merchants selling their goods, and neighbors greeting each other. The cannery was the heart of Portlock. It was the lifeblood of the community, providing employment and a sense of purpose for many. It was a hive of activity. Workers moved with purpose, their hands swift and skilled as they processed the daily catch. Workers toiled day and night, processing the catch, canning the salmon, shipping it south. The work was hard, but it was also rewarding. Each can of salmon represented a step towards a better future. To the lower 48 states, to a hungry nation, the demand for salmon was high, and Portlock was more than capable of meeting it. The cannery brought wealth to Portlock. It brought jobs. It brought a sense of stability and growth that the community had never known before. It brought hope for the future. The people of Portlock looked ahead with optimism, confident that their hard work and dedication would continue to pay off. The village had transformed into a beacon of prosperity, all thanks to the bountiful waters and the industrious spirit of its people. But something was wrong. A darkness was spreading over Portlock. It began subtly. Whispers in the night, strange tracks in the woods, unexplained noises. A feeling of unease settled over the village. The Sugpiaq people had always spoken of a creature that lived in the woods, a hairy man, large and powerful, with a taste for human flesh. The villagers had dismissed these stories as folklore, myths passed down through generations. Now they weren't so sure. Something was out there, watching, waiting. The whispers grew louder, the tracks became more frequent, the unexplained noises became more sinister. Fear began to grip the village. Terror in the night, then came the attacks. Animals were found slaughtered, their carcasses mutilated. The villagers were terrified. They began to arm themselves, to travel in groups, to fear the darkness. One night, a group of fishermen disappeared. They were never seen again. Their boat was found adrift, empty, except for a single, bloody handprint. It was too large to be human. The village was in a panic. People began to leave, fleeing the terror, seeking safety elsewhere. The cannery closed, the schoolhouse shut its doors, the general store boarded up its windows. Portlock was dying. Exodus. In 1950, the last residents of Portlock abandoned the village. They left behind their homes, their belongings, their lives. They fled the terror that had gripped their town. Portlock became a ghost town. The buildings stood empty, slowly decaying, reclaimed by nature. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of the wind whistling through the trees and the occasional scream of an eagle. The mystery of Portlock remained. What had happened to the villagers? What had become of the creature? Was it still out there, watching, waiting? A lingering shadow. Today, Portlock is a shadow of its former self. The cannery is a ruin, the houses are collapsing, the schoolhouse is gone. Only the foundations remain, a reminder of what once was. But the fear remains. Visitors to Portlock speak of a strange feeling, a sense of being watched. of being followed. Some claim to have seen the creature, lurking in the woods. A fleeting glimpse of something large and hairy. Is it real? Or is it just the power of suggestion? The human mind playing tricks on itself? It's hard to say. Visitors and vandals. Despite the fear, Portlock has become a destination for adventurers, for those seeking a glimpse into the past, for those drawn to the mystery. But not all who visit Portlock are respectful. Vandals have looted the abandoned buildings, spray-painting graffiti, desecrating the graves in the small cemetery. It's a sad end for a town that once held so much promise. Seeking answers in the silence. Over the years, there have been many attempts to explain the mystery of Portlock. Some believe the creature was a bear, others believe it was a wolf, still others believe it was something else entirely, something unknown to science. There have been expeditions to Portlock. Researchers have studied the site. They have found no conclusive evidence to support any of the theories. The mystery of Portlock remains unsolved, unexplained. An enduring mystery. Portlock is a reminder that there are still mysteries in this world, things we cannot explain, things that defy logic and reason, things that make us question our place in the universe. The next time you are feeling brave, the next time you are feeling adventurous, pay a visit to Portlock, but be careful. You never know what you might find. You never know what might be watching you, waiting for you in the shadows.